everybody, it's Noreen from Organized and Creative Mom. Thanks so much for joining me on this 7th episode of my Play and Create series. The other night on my Facebook Live, I actually asked you what you wanted to see on this series, and hands down, you guys were looking for layout ideas. So I've got one today for you. We're going to create an Easter layout, and we're going to be playing with the dot tip pens and the Easter Blessings theme pack. Now, I'm actually not going to use much of the Easter Blessings theme pack, although there's some beautiful papers and things in it. I'm not going to be using the raspberry cardstock, and I'm going to basically be using one of these two cut apart pages. I'm going to actually cut my title, this Easter Blessings, out from the paper, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut some border strips. Then I'm going to make some lovely, fun, watercolor-like speckled Easter eggs using the dot tip pens. Put them on some cloud cardstock for my background, and then finish it off with some of the stickers. Okay, so we're going to have lots of fun playing and creating today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make some watercolored speckled sort of paper using the dot tip pens. And you know that I love to play around with the pens and do kind of mixed media sort of projects with them. So I thought that these would be really pretty to make some kind of pink and purple and some blue and green Easter eggs. So what we're going to do, I'm going to set these two aside here and we'll focus on the pink and purple for right now. I'm going to open up the dot tip end, and I'm just using a very slick craft mat here. So I've just drawn a little bit of the ink basically onto the craft mat. You can see it already kind of bubbling up. And then I just got a little spray bottle with just some plain tap water. Just spritz that a little bit. And now I'm going to take a piece of plastic packaging. This is actually one of the little bags that the Creative Memories embellishments comes in. And all I'm going to do is what I like to call my smooshing technique. I just place the bag on top of the paint, so to speak, and then I just transfer it over onto a piece of cardstock. And I just cut a piece of cardstock into two 6-inch by 12-inch pieces, and I'm going to fill one of them with the kind of pink and purple colors, and then I'm going to do another one with the blue and green. And you can see that I'm just kind of, you know, pushing the paint around, the ink or the pigment around. And when I push down on the paper, it smooshes the ink. I can also just sort of make little speckles just by picking up the dots of ink or paint and just placing them onto my paper. Okay, so I'm just kind of covering very randomly. Let's just get the rest of that up. Very randomly with the pink ink. Let's do it now with the purple. And to clean up, all you need is a tissue. I love creating with stuff that doesn't leave a big, huge mess. So let's go in with the purple color. Again, just draw it right on the slick surface. Give it a spritz. And then pick it up and add it right on top. Just kind of filling in some of the gaps where our pink was. And again, if you kind of press it down and wiggle your hand over it, it will have more of a watercolor look. If you just tap it onto your paper, it will have more of a speckled look. And I think that's going to be great for some speckled Easter eggs. And we'll just clean this off. And let's do another one. Set this aside to dry. And now let's do another 6 by 12-inch piece of cardstock with the blue and green. So get some of that lovely denim blue, spritz. You can see that just kind of puddles, and it sort of has a mind of its own, which I really enjoy. You can't sort of predict where it's going to go, but the results are usually really, really beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to pick up some and sort of tap it on now for, again, that speckled sort of look. Okay, finish off here. Okay, wipe that off and let's finish it off with the green. You can see how quick this is too. It's fun and it's quick, and it's just the thing to try if you are home looking for some ideas. Now I'm using the dot tip pens, but of course you could use any of the other Creative Memories pens. You might remember that the last batch of pens was actually, there was 5 colors. There was a purple, a darker green, an orange, a red, and a royal blue. So you could definitely have fun with those as well. I'm just kind of picking up and tapping again here now. But yeah, this technique will work with any water-based pen or marker. You could probably in a pinch use your kids' Crayola markers as well. Okay, so now we've got 2 kind of speckly watercolor papers that I'm going to actually create and cut some Easter eggs from. We'll set these aside and let them dry. Okay, so I've got another set of the watercolor backgrounds that I did a little earlier so that they would dry. You can see that because the Creative Memories cardstock isn't exactly watercolor weight, it might buckle up a little bit on you, it might curl a little bit, but you can just either, you know, roll it in the opposite direction so that it flattens out a little bit, or you can just keep it aside for a little while with some heavy books on it, and that should be fine. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the gemstone pattern of our custom cutting system, and inside the small heart you see that there's an egg shape. We're going to cut out a bunch of these cute little egg shapes. See that I got a ton of eggs from those 2 pieces of cardstock. So you might even really only need, you know, a smaller piece of white cardstock to try this technique on. And you can see that some of them didn't cut out perfectly, but that's fine. I've got lots and lots to choose from. Now the other thing I had been thinking that I could actually do a little bit of decorating with these eggs and the pen. So I thought I could come back in and add maybe some dots. And of course you can make larger dots by pressing down, smaller dots just by, you know, just with regular pressure, or even some fun little zigzags. And just by doing that in the same colors that your eggs are speckled in, you can get a really pretty little effect. So you could choose whether to decorate these up a little bit more or just leave them plain. And I have to say, I quite like the look of them without the decorations, but this would be a really fun thing to do with kids. So now that I have all of these pretty eggs, I'm actually going to add them to a layout, and I've just got kind of the base of the layout started here for you. Remember that I said I was going to use the opposite side of the Easter Blessings paper, the green side, and I've just kind of cut a little grass border from it. Now you could definitely use the little grass stickers from the sticker pack, or if you don't have the old retired grass border maker cartridge like I used, you could even just take your scissors and, you know, sort of snip little grass clippings, irregular little snips into a green paper border, and that would make a really, really pretty border as well. So I've just placed that about 0.5, half an inch up from the edge, and I actually just added another little half-inch strip along the top edge. And I've got 4 photos of my older son, Grayson. This is when he was 2 years old and went on his first Easter egg hunt. He couldn't understand what was inside these little plastic Easter eggs, and it was so cute to watch him. But so I'm thinking that I'm just going to start sort of placing these little Easter eggs in front of and behind the little grass border. And I want to make, have a good, sort of variety of the colors that I'm adding in here. So remember I said there was a few that I've made a few mistakes on. I can just tuck those in behind and then really pull out some of the other colors. So I'm just going to play with this here until my layout's finished. And then I cut out the Easter blessings, and I'm going to use that as my title over here. Maybe I'm going to add a little bit of a cluster with some more of the Easter eggs. Maybe the blue would be pretty there. And then I thought that maybe I would use the pretty little sort of watercolor Easter bunny here. Maybe some journaling above or below. I'm just going to figure that out as I go along. But I'm loving these kind of handmade speckled watercolor Easter eggs. So I hope you give that technique a try. And whether you cut out Easter eggs or hearts or stars or flowers, it's a fun technique to use when we are playing and creating with some of our fun dot tip pens. I hope you give it a try. Thanks very much for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.